Hello, patrons, and welcome to episode 11 of Minis and Movies. I am, of course, your host, John Spencer, and I first want to thank you, of course, for being patrons and keeping the lights on, keeping us in proper gear so we can keep doing this for you guys. We do love it, of course, but you definitely make it easier to get through it all. This is, of course, where I talk about miniatures and movies, usually in some sort of combination. Generally more on the minis side, a little bit on the movies, just to keep it in my wheelhouse. If you ever have any comments or recommendations, something you want me to watch, I like to keep the movies to something that's easily available. Netflix, Amazon Prime. If it's on YouTube, I'll give it a shot. Try to stay away from the stuff I have to purchase, but I will in a pinch if I need to. Feel free to hit me up. Twitter, I'm at John O. Spencer. Facebook, John Oakland Spencer. Or hit me up, of course, on the More Than Dice main page. Or you can hit me an email, johnoaklandspencer@yahoo.com. All right, tonight we are going to talk about my Star Wars Armada league. We had the first turn done, our campaign. So that's cool. I'll talk a little bit about how that went and some, initial thoughts, so you can hear my thought process as we get through this. And then afterwards, I'm going to talk about Mortal Kombat, an old movie, what's commonly considered one of the best video game movies. People are commonly wrong, unfortunately. I don't think it's one of the best video game movies. I mean, it may be one of the best, because let's be honest, video game movies are not very good, but that's something to talk about later. Tonight I am drinking. I have some more of my Jim Beam apple liquor infused with whiskey. That is very tasty. A few things I'll drink out of a shot glass and just sip it. So on to part one. We're going to talk about our Star Wars Armada campaign turn one. So myself, Not Brushhead Dave, L. Marshall, and former PG Bowie are doing Armada campaign. I talked about it last week where I live build my list. I got to play it once. We sat down, L. Marshall took the map, put it on a magnetic sheet, and then got magnets so we can reuse the map many times, which is a great idea. And we went to it. Marshall and Dave are the Imperials. Paul and myself are Bowie and myself are the Rebels. So they get the Corellian system, then they get two other systems, and then we get a base each, Paul and myself, and then each also get an outpost. We're a team, so it doesn't really matter what's what. I don't really remember. I'm going to write that down for next time to get an idea what we're looking at for that. But we did figure that all out. Initially, I was a little concerned, because bases are worth more points significantly than outposts. So a base is worth 25 points of I don't want to call them refit points because that's something else. So basically split into 2 points. You have regular points and refit points, let's say. I actually have the book over here if I really want to take a look at what they're called. But the refit points can all be used to fix your stuff. And then resource points you get from the systems you control and from your bases. And outposts in our case, because the Imperials don't get outposts, they only get bases. So the Imperials start off with quite a few because they get 3 bases, and they also have 3 systems, one of which is Corellia, so that's 20 extra points. It's like having another base. So I'm really worried that it's not going to be fair. But we get more systems. We start with one more system because we get 2 bases that are secret and 2 outposts that are secret. He just knows there's rebels at these 4 systems. So we might get a little more, an extra ability or something, so that may be helpful. But I was still a little worried that it's a little uneven points-wise. But also, I realized after winning an attack, the Rebels can just put an outpost there for free. No cost, just boom, extra points. So that'll help a little bit as long as we can keep our assaults working well. And spoiler, they worked well this week. So we split up, and Marshall is the Grand Admiral for the Imperials. He attacked Center Point, and we had Paul defend. And I attacked another system whose name escapes me. I forget which one it was. And Dave was going to defend. So Marshall and Paul had their game first. The way it's set up, rather than the standard 3 objectives and your opponent, and one person chooses one of those, the way it works is normally whoever has the initiative, i.e. spent less points, can choose to be basically attacker or defender. Let's say it's so much easier than their first player, second player bullshit. Attacker or defender. The defender is always offering up his objectives for the opponent to grab and take a look and decide which one they're playing of these three. So the idea, of course, is to give them three shitty choices so something works in your favor. We don't have nearly enough experience for that to actually matter, but so Paul's got his figured out, but each system may have different. Like Centerpoint always has the station defense, I think it is, or armed station objective, and then you choose one of your three to put in that pool as well. So Paul had the station and then the station defense, and then also minefields. Marshall decided to play minefields because he hadn't played it before. I was present for the game. It unfortunately for Paul was a hell of a shellacking. Marshall had an interdictor. He used the gravity well projectors on it to scoot around some of the terrain, which caused a little bit of problem for Paul's deployment. Paul's not very experienced and had, I'll be honest, Marshall's dice loved him and Paul's dice were mediocre. Ended up Paul lost 3 of his 5 ships and all of his fighters. Marshall lost no fighters and 2 of his ships. So came up pretty bad for Paul. We'll have to see if we can repair everything. That'll come, of course, since we're not doing that till next Saturday. I will talk about that at least for a little bit next episode. My game versus Dave is pretty much the opposite of that. We were playing in open space, so it was just 3 normal objective cards, so I handed him mine. Mine were... Or no, he handed me his because he was defender, I was attacking. And his were... there's one where you put an objective counter on each piece of terrain, and then you have to go into them to get them, and his ships end up being immune to the negative effects of terrain, which is terrible. I don't like that, so I didn't choose that one. Another one is Hyperspace Assault, where he gets to bring down... He puts down some markers and gets to bring ships down near that marker at a later turn. With him having a preponderance of black dice that are close range, I thought that was bullshit. The last one is called Opening Salvo, where we each get a token on our ships, and we spend it. I spend it for 2 extra red dice, since I'm the first player, or attacker, and he spends it for 20 dice of any color, since he is the defender, or second player. So I chose that, figured that is the closest to value. I actually have some red dice for long range, so I might get some plinks in. Turns out that wasn't the case. As attacker / first player, I had to go first, so I wandered forward at a reasonable pace. Had my large ship, the MC-75, profundity type, like from Rogue One, turned towards the main engagement of the battle, keeping one of the other ships at his side. That way I could potentially get a broadside against him at some point, while still bringing my forward guns to bear on the rest of the fleet. He had 2 gladiators, 2 raiders, and a quasar fire. His fighters were Dengar, Howlrunner, Mauler Mythal, and 4 interceptors. I actually moved my fighters up too much, so I was able to pin them down, start getting damage, and start crushing the headhunters. But luckily, the Ghost and the 2 E-Wings were able to start bringing their guns to bear and start crushing them out of hand. Turn 1, I slow advanced. I didn't go as fast as I could. Mostly to keep up with my Pelta, which is slower than the rest of my fleet. The M75 was actually at speed 3 just because the angle it was going at, it wasn't hurting it as much. He actually bolted forward at a much higher speed than I did, which proved to be his undoing. So what happened here is, on turn 2, I get to go first, he has to go first, initiative passes to him. And that's bad in this case, so he came forward, he got some shots on one of my ships from longer range. One of hammerheads, did good damage to it, but didn't destroy it. Luckily, I've got the contain defense token, which helped me avoid crits. Spoiler, crits are bad. And then he had to move forward. He couldn't get away because he didn't... If he had chosen maneuver rather than firepower, he'd done a little less damage, but he had been able to speed up the forward turn more and make a wider loop around me. Maybe do maneuver again, drop to speed 3, and tighten the turn in on me. But he did not, so he ended up right in front of my hammerhead. So my hammerhead used its external racks and left it on 1, but one of them was a crit, which ended up being 2 damage. So I 1-rounded that thing. Then he moved forward his next one in line and finished off that hammerhead, which is no surprise to me. He killed it deader than... We're like, I'm not going to look at defense tokens because it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, he's just dead. But then, of course, that one actually didn't necessarily have as good of a shot on, but so I took some longer range shots with the 1 hammerhead. Did not use its external racks. Then he activated the quasar fire. It came forward, ended right, not quite on the space station, and so I took it with the Pelta, shot the crap out of it, left it in bad shape. And then we continued on his one gladiator came up, didn't really have any good range to do anything. My hammerhead came up, unloaded on the Quasar Fire again, did good damage, but it was a fresh side, so it managed to live through it, but it was in dire straits. His other gladiator came up on the side, did some longer range shots to my M75, but with nothing to stop me from using defense tokens. I just took it all on shields on the other side because he shot at my front, and it didn't really matter to him. I just took 3 damage on that shield. I don't care. And then he moved forward, and I fired back and left it on 1, but 1 was a crit, and again it was double damage, or 1 more extra damage, so that was 1 rounded as well. Our fighters were mixing up in the middle. He had the advantage to start, but I ended up getting it back quickly. And because the E-Wings are good at standing off against interceptors and killing them, the 95s died pretty much in as much quantity as I expected them to, just shy of all, and that's only because one of them ended on the space station, so it gets to heal 1. Next turn come, I have to activate first, but luckily he's got ships in bad positions, so I have my 1 hammerhead that did not use external racks below his external racks, killing the Quasar Fire, which also cleared it so that my Pelta could activate later in the turn and advance and not run into it, because one of the special notes of this game is that any ship with a damage card on it is worth half points. His gladiator in bad shape, he decides, I think it had taken some incidental damage from just other shots. He decides he's going to spend his command dial. Instead of getting the effect, he's going to just leave if he can live through the turn, which is an option in the main game and even better in the campaign. So the profundity comes up, fires at it, I get some pelta shots. I leave it in bad shape, but it lives through the round, so manages to escape. Then he has the Raider, I guess, decide to go as well. Dengar escapes without damage, but the rest of his fighters die. My ships take some damage. I only lose the 2 hammerheads, so that's fine. That's what the 1 gladiator did. It just crushed the other hammerhead, finished off, and so there we go. End of the game. He fled, so I automatically win regardless of points. But the points would have had me winning anyway, since it would have been 400 to 220. I lost 3 of my 4 headrunners, 1 of my E-Wings, hammerheads 1 and 3. He lost Smaller Mythal, Howl Runner, 4 interceptors, the Quasar Fire, 1 of his 2 gladiators, and 1 of his 2 raiders. So that worked out well for me. I think it's going to help keep the game a little bit more even, since he's not going to be in good shape, and Paul's not in good shape. It's a little more even there. And then I can maybe play Marshall at a more even footing. Now there's also another thing where if you live through a battle and kill something, you become veteran, at least until you die. So I figured it out. We didn't keep track during the game, but I was able to recreate in my head. Both of his remaining ships killed something, so they both become veteran, and Dengar can't. And I don't think he killed anything, but unique squadrons can't. So like the Ghost doesn't become veteran because it's unique squadron. It can't do that. But one of my E-Wings and my remaining Headhunter, if I remember correctly, killed something, so they get to become veteran. And then both my MC-75 and the Pelta both killed something. So if I recall correctly, the Pelta did. I think the Pelta actually was the one that finished off the might have been the one that finished off the Quasar Fire. But in any case, I'm pretty sure those are veteran. I'm going to check with Dave to see what he thinks. It's either the Pelta or the living Hammerhead. I'll get his opinion on that and decide. Well, his Gladiator and Raider both, of course, for veterans. So overall, fair turn. 1 win, 1 win. You both got 1 campaign point. We get to put down an outpost for free, so that'll be more points next time for us. I just got to put it on that system. And then the downside, of course, is that with an outpost, they can get extra victory points off of it if they defeat it, but we can do the same thing by destroying their bases, and their bases are worth more to them. So we'll see how that goes. See if I get some points. We have to split, so we each get refit points. Each get 30 refit points, and then we also get repair yard points that apply to each of us, I believe. I'll have to reread that rule. I think the points for repair yards, and I made sure to choose some repair yards because I want to be able to fix my stuff. I'm pretty sure the repair yards actually count towards both players. I can find out real quick. Yeah, each player gains 5 refit points for each location with repair yards. So that'll help a lot in keeping our ships functional. I am not going to have a problem since the Hammerheads are only 36 points each. And then I lost 21 and like 14. It's not a lot of points of fighters. I think I should be able to repair everything with minimal invasive to my actual resource points, which we also are going to get a bunch of. I'll take notes for that and fill you guys in on all that next time. But it was a good time. Actually found some people who were interested in Armada, so we decided if this one goes good enough, we'll reboot. We'll try and get another player in on each side for 3-on-3 action. Guy came by while we were playing to express some interest, and then one of my other locals that I play Infinity against expressed some interest, so we'll see how that goes. So next time I will talk Actually, next time I will not be talking a little bit about this campaign. It'll be in 2 weeks because I need to get on a schedule. For you guys, I'm going to try and make sure that I'm releasing something extra every other week with this. And then on the opposite weeks with Sewer Bear, because it's just set schedule. So we're going to try and keep that rolling. So next time, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, but it'll be something interesting mini related. I'll see what I can think of. I have to record that this week or early next week because I want to, like I said, keep on the good schedule. I want to get it out before Adepticon, so we'll have something. I've already figured out my movie pairing, but we'll get to that in the movie section. Ron. All right, movie section time. All right, so this time, Mortal Kombat. Now, I saw this movie in the theater with a bunch of friends, and we loved it. It was great. It has long-standing been called one of the best video game movies. I don't think it is the best, though. For anyone who says it is, they are probably wrong, because this movie does not hold up well at all. For the time, Jackie Chan had only barely hit. He hadn't really gotten like Rumble in the Bronx or any of that other really good stuff. This pre-Matrix era, everything was different. Really what this is Bloodsport with some Mortal Kombat added on. It has a ton of flaws. There's no character development. It just all sort of happens. The closest you get to a character arc is Johnny Cage, who is also, in my opinion, the most likable character in the entire movie, because Liu Kang is inconsistent and a bit of a putz. I'm not going to blame it all on Robin Show, even though he has not really shown that he is a great actor since. I will blame a little bit on the script and what they gave him. Basically, the whole idea is for the Realm of Outworld to invade the Realm of Earth, they have to win 10 straight Mortal Kombats, and they've won 9. So this is it, guys. Super high stakes. Robin Show is Liu Kang. He is the chosen one, but he ran away from his destiny to America, and then has to come back as his brother is killed by Shang Tsung, played by Cary Hirokawa, whatever his name is. You'll know him. He is in freaking everything. He's great. He is quite probably the best actor in this movie. So let me get his name right because I feel bad. Cary Hiroyuki Tagawa. Shang Tsung. He's been in tons of stuff. Christopher Lambert's in it as Lord Raiden. That's miscast, but he's enjoyable. This is not the right movie for him. Brigitte Wilson Sampras is Sonya Blade, and she's not very good. She's okay. Talisa Soto is Katana, and she's terrible. Trevor Goddard is Kano. He is also bad. The guys who play Scorpion and Sub-Zero are absolutely fine. They do their job fine. In fact, most of the lesser characters are better than the main characters. As I said, the only one I really liked is Lyndon Ashby as Johnny Cage. He hasn't been in a ton since, but he's more TV stuff. He is in a couple things. He's been in Iron Man 3. He's been in movies here or there. He was actually in another. He was in Resident Evil Extinction, which is the third Resident Evil movie. So those things I enjoy seeing him when he's in there. He's never great, but he's definitely a character actor. This is one of his bigger roles, though apparently in the Wyatt Earp movie, which I believe is Kevin Costner's Wyatt Earp movie, he plays Morgan. Interesting. I have not seen that movie, because why when you can watch Tombstone? In any case, back to Mortal Kombat. So, the basic plot, that's the basic plot. That's it. I mean, there's nothing else to it, I'm sorry. And the whole idea is they sort of become, more closer with each other and friends, though that doesn't happen organically. It just happens because they say it is. Johnny Cage does something which is right and interesting when he fights Goro, which is one of the better, more interesting fights in the movie, because he doesn't want to see Sonya Blade get hurt, even though there's been nothing between them other than animosity. I mean, he's like, oh yeah, she's cool and all, but it's not organic. It's just really not that good. I'll be honest, it's kind of painful at points. The fight scenes hover between poor and the high end of mediocre, with only a couple actually being good. The Johnny Cage ones are better. There's sort of a team one that's better. The Liu Kang ones are okay. Except for the one with him and Talisa Soto, which is fucking terrible. The one, because they give her one Sonya Blade fight, is not good. I won't blame it on her entirely, but I mean, just so much has happened since then that you'll look at this and it'll be dated as fuck and be like, wow, how was this ever a good movie? And apparently, it never really was. It just was good enough for the time. So yeah, other faults are they take Sonya Blade from badass special forces Interpol police person to fucking you got to rescue her, and she's like they capture her because Shang Tsung was a challenger because I think he knows he can beat her to win Mortal Kombat, which is sort of his plan, though his plan is mysterious and silly as fuck. And as he captures her, they dress her in an entirely different outfit and tease her hair out. I have no idea why. It was pretty pointless. My roommate even commented that what the fuck is she wearing? It was not good. So of course the good guys win, and that Liu Kang being the chosen one has to defeat everyone, has to defeat Shang Tsung, even though Johnny Cage would have been much more interesting fight versus him, or much more interesting to have him have to fight all of them, or this could have been better a lot of ways. If they'd stuck more to the Bloodsport, like Bloodsport is a superior movie, even though there's no, cold ninjas or get over here ninjas or any of that, or any of the fantasy elements, it's a better made movie. They did better fight choreography, better better montage of fights. You get some feels. The two main characters, you get a feel that like they're bonding. It's quick, but you're like, okay, there's something there. It feels more natural and better. And honestly, you could take this movie, make it 20 minutes longer, give it a full 2 hours or so, and it could have been really good. But oh well, it wasn't. Let's rate some categories. Acting, fuck, 3 shots of Kraken. Christopher Lambert is enjoying himself. Cary Tagawa is great. Lyndon Aspey is amusing. He plays Johnny Cage absolutely to the hilt. A couple of the other bit actors are fine, but Tao Soto is terrible. Bridget Wilson is not good. I mean, there's too much bad stuff. It way outweighs the good. 3 shots of Kraken. Fighting. Jesus. It's not good. Nice, I will give it 2.5 shots of Kraken. Very average. U.S. martial arts fight scenes. God, it could have been so much better if they'd actually gotten some real. I mean, Robin Show did the fight choreography. They should have gotten someone with more experience. They should have gotten someone from Hong Kong to do the fight choreography. It could have been great. But as it is, unfortunately, there's only a couple fights that are really good. The rest are kind of mediocre at best. So 2.5 shots of Kraken being nice. Plot. Fuck. 4 shots of Kraken. It barely has plot. No development. Jeebus. It's not good. Overall, 3 shots of Kraken. You should probably avoid this movie unless you really go in the Wayback Machine and watch it. It is free. It is only an hour and 41 minutes long. Yay. It is 23 years old, which is crazy. It's old enough to drink, and shows it. So, yeah, if you got some time, you want to watch some old stuff that's not going to be great, but you want to laugh at it, check out Mortal Kombat. On the other hand, the soundtrack is very good early techno, so definitely enjoyable. But overall, avoid it if you can. So next week, I'm going to continue down the slide of shit movies. I'm watching. I mentioned a couple weeks ago when I did The Return of Xander Cage that I was upset that XXX State of the Union was not on Amazon Prime. Well, spoilers, it's on Amazon Prime now. I'm going to watch it and review it for you guys because, hey, I'd wanted to in the past. I was going to do the XXX movies in order, but instead I'm going to do reverse order, I guess. Maybe we'll stop with maybe we'll just stop with the original XXX. We'll see. In any case, hopefully you guys enjoy that. Hopefully see you guys next time on Minis and Movies, and have a good night. Ron.